Oh, before we get started, I am just going to invite some more people just to make sure they've got second invites. Let's just make sure we've got currently 19 drivers. Who are we missing? And then we will get off to a good start. I think we're actually missing the man of the hour, Raggy. I believe we are. Right then, we will, however, now get started. Thank you to everyone who is joining us. I'm just going to get things ready and sorted before we get anywhere kicked off. It matters completely deeply to me that you all are here. It honestly means the world. I can't honestly tell you enough exactly how much it means to me, because it is such a good cause that we're doing this for. We're doing this for the British Blue Cross. As we see, Raggy is now joined. I'm just going to share this stream into chats and stuff. But yes, we're now off and running. We're now getting started. We are here in Britain, in Silverstone. To those of you who don't know, we're doing a 2-race championship here for the British Blue Cross, wrong one. It's for the pets, not for the people, and that matters quite a fair bit. These guys can't obviously always help themselves, and so especially with pets, we have the duty to look after them. As I go into spectator mode, we're going to post this up and we're going to get ready. So welcome to the Blue Cross Charity Championship. Just to give you a little bit of a rundown, we're doing 2 races here. It's going to be 2 short qualifyings, as well as then 2 25% races back to back, and whoever wins the championship, we have actually been able to announce that VRL, who we're doing this in conjunction with, are going to award that winner with the F1 2021 game when it comes out. So I think we're ready to get going. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Silverstone. It is one of those races that is known as the Temple of Speed, and it's incredible. It really is. It's one of those races that I think everyone looks forward to every year. To those of you who don't know F1, we're in Britain, we're in Silverstone. And it's where the first race of the championship was held. Our second race tonight will be at Italy, which is one of the only other tracks on the circuit which has held a Grand Prix every year since 1950. But a bit about the real F1 Silverstone circuit. It's built on the site of a World War II airfield, and of course we know how many of those we have in the country. But Lewis Hamilton, who we all know is the shining beacon of F1, I'd say, in the country. He's won here more than any other driver. It's his obviously his home race, and he's won more home races than any the driver ever has in F1 history. But okay, the one interesting thing though, it doesn't mean just because it's your home race doesn't mean you're going to win it if you're in a good car. Jenson Button, who was another world champion for Great Britain, obviously with Brawn GP in 2009, in 17 races, he never won around the British Grand Prix. So it's not one of those races that you will always win if you know the track. It's high speed. We'll see as we get people out on track for the first time. There's one of those tracks that you need to get your setup right, and it can especially be thrown off, as we all know in this country, is if we get some good old-fashioned rain. And we're going to get this sorted so that we can see exactly what we're dealing with. We're going to see exactly what tyres people are on. I am waiting to hear if there's any rain forecast or anything like that. But it's one of those races as well that can be quite difficult on your tyres. Obviously, we're only doing 25% races, so I can't really imagine that we're going to get into puncture territory unless you have an accident on lap 1, you're on medium tyres and you go onto the softs, because they're the only ones that won't last the race distance of 16 laps. But we saw in the British Grand Prix in 2020 some absolutely monumental scenes of Lewis Hamilton riding home on 3 wheels because his back tyre exploded. You had the same happen to obviously Valtteri Bottas the lap earlier, but also you had Danny Kvyat and Carlos Sainz also struggle with the same thing. So I wonder if we're going to have any random as we see some people start heading out of random tyre explosions. I hope not. The fastest lap around this circuit is a 1:24.3 set by Lewis Hamilton last year, and obviously Max Verstappen, oh no, sorry, that's a pole lap. Max Verstappen has the fastest lap, which was a 1:27.097. So everyone is getting out on track, so we're going to go on board with some people now. As we see JRN is the first person out on track. Let's go into his spectator mode. You can see here that most drivers are going to be running a blue lid in support of the Blue Cross, which is an amazing gesture, and I really do appreciate it. Just to let you know on a few of the sort of gestures that are happening today, you have Stinson will be starting from the back of the grid. He will be basically, for every single overtake he makes, he will be donating 50p. He's going to be starting from the back of the grid. VRL have said they'll match that, which is incredible. And also VRL have also said that for every position gained, every overtake he makes, so every position gained is what Stinson will be donating towards, but every overtake that he makes, VRL have said that they'll pay £1 towards it. Obviously a cap of 50, because Stinson is a very incredible driver. He can certainly pull it out of the bag and maybe even win some of these races. So it could be a case of he ends up making more than 50 in 2 races. But that's an amazing gesture, and I really do appreciate it. If you yourself want to make any gestures of support, or if you want to sort of let us know exactly what you're thinking about this race, it'd be amazing to hear from you. And of course, there is a link in the description below where you can go and you can donate to these guys, or you can go to my Give Penny page, which is basically what the link is, which is givepenny.com/natcraig62_1897, which is the amount of minutes I've got to do in April. So 1897_challenge. It would mean amazing if you could donate, but don't worry, to be honest, all I really care about is getting some good races, because racing happening. So we're going to go on board and see how people are doing now, going in towards the middle sector. We're actually coming to the end of the first sector here with Pure Blades. Let's see what his first sector is. At the moment, everyone's currently out on soft tyres, so it looks quite good. It is going to be a dry race. Jake Lee has let me know, which is brilliant, because it means we're going to get some good running, some really competitive running, as basically everyone is out on track now, ready to start. We're going to pop our way through. Let's see if there's a Racing Point currently who's at the head of the queue. I think that was JRN, so we might stay on board with him as he goes through. I think that's Chapel there. As I get my track map up, so I make sure I know I get the corners right. So yes, we have him going now towards Stowe, this very long right-hander, as going back towards now Vale and Club in a very old section of the track. He's now going to go down towards what we call, well, what we are now calling the Sir Lewis Hamilton Straight, as he goes for a benchmark time of a 1:27.8. So that's what people have got to be. It's just a bit slower than the official fastest lap during the race last year in 2020. We're now going to go on board as we see Smithy goes on. Goes a bit faster, about 6/10 faster, as Raggy then goes 2 to 3 seconds faster. That's an incredible time. Andreas also goes the 1:24. Bama joins them there, and so we're going to stay on board with Optics to keep our eyes on some of these amazing times coming through. So Optics comes across into 5th position. We're going to go down to Stinson, who we know is, I think, starting at the back of the grid, actually. Actually, he's not. I don't know how he's going to start at the back of the grid. I think I might have to change it up. So Extremist is still in the pits. Let's think about who else is in the pits. So we've got Pure Blades has gone into the pits. B Wright's also gone into the pits. Callum Tyler's out on his, I think his 2nd lap on this 1 lap old soft tyre, so he must have broken track limits. Of course, track limits, just as everywhere, is really important around this track. We have got strict track limits on, so it's equally as important to make sure you keep it clean around here to both improve your lap time, but also to make sure your time actually comes through. Stinson goes fastest with a 1:23.9. So Callum Tyler comes across. Oh no, is that the back straight? It is the back straight. This is the thing with Silverstone, is that both of them look quite simple. So he's about to go through into Maggots and Beckett's. It's a very fast section of just got one onto the next, and you go round now, going down towards Chapel, and it's just, if you get it wrong into that first part of the corner, you're going to really struggle to make the time back up. I'll put it that way. So we're now going to follow Callum coming around now. He's interesting that he's decided to go back out on this soft set of tyres, because a lot of time you kind of take up most of your energy in that first set, so that first lap that you do, as we see some more people improving. So Callum goes 12th fastest at this moment in time. You got interesting there with Muzza and Profides. I'm sorry if I completely butcher your name. I try my best. They're starting on medium tyres, so I think that's probably just to make sure they get they don't waste too many sets of softs, just in case. Obviously you don't know what's going to happen in the race. I've once had it before where I've thought, oh, you know what, I'll be fine going out on using 3, and as we see, IFR Stinson gets disqualified from the session, so that's going to put him at the back, I think. I was wondering how I was going to end up doing it. Yes, there we go. So yeah, you don't want to be using all your soft tyres. I used all my soft tyres in China, and then there was 3 safety cars in the race, which meant all of a sudden I was left there having to use medium compound tyres and going, I've just got no speed and I'm having to use it for a very short amount of time. This isn't working for me. So these guys do have to be careful. Obviously we're going to be in Britain and in Italy, where both have very difficult first and second corners that can mean that you end up with safety cars pretty much on the first lap, so you've got to be careful. So it'll be interesting to see if these medium compound runners at the moment come back out onto softs, and I think they probably will if they want to be able to get in those higher places. But let's have a quick rundown of the current laps at the moment, as we see Profides going back out for a second lap. I think he's just trying to make sure he gets the most out of these medium compound tyres, as we see Andres and Ben coming out onto another set of soft compound tyres, so I think they're going for it again. So at the moment we've got Andres ahead by about 0.4 of a second ahead of Ben, who's obviously right behind him with a 1:24.5. Then another 0.4 back from him is Raggy, and then another 0.3 back from him is is Bama, and then Optics is another 0.3 back. So there seems to be this regular kind of gap. They are fairly even along the lap in terms of losing time and in terms of it not being longer than a second and stuff. Obviously you have a bit of a jump when you get down to Diamond, who's another 0.3 back, as we see Profides then again on a medium set of tyres. These guys are going to be just basically getting used to the track. I don't know if many of them had much practice on these tracks today, but it is obviously very important to make sure you know your track, you know your braking zones. I can't tell you exactly what assists these guys are running, but more than likely they're going to be they're going to be at the top of the top. That's why they're setting these fast times. And obviously I wonder when Profides, Muzza and Callum Tyler all come out onto soft tyres again, whether they can actually get even higher. So we see that Ben has now started his fastest lap, so I think we're going to go on board with him. I know Extremist is currently on an outlap, and so is Charlie, who are the 2 Mercedes in head, as we see Ben just really lock up there going into the tight left-hander. So he now opens his steering up, tries to get as much speed going down this straight, going into the second, as you see Bama's now disqualified himself as well. So he's trying to start from the back of the grid as well. So let's see where this all ends up. So as we see Ben going round the right-hander now, going onto the back straight. He's opened up his speed. He's trying not to get too far onto the left-hand curb, because otherwise you end up losing a lot of time. So now going through the very fast right-hander up towards the very infamous corners of Maggots, Beckett's, and then Chapel. Let's see as he goes through the very fast right, left, right. No, it's left, right, left. I can't do my directions. And he goes now towards Chapel. He doesn't get too far on the left-hand curb. That's one way you can very easily spin out. He does keep it very neat and tidy through there. You're basically straight lining it really, but with that little bit of speed and that little bit of cornering, you can really mess up if you get slightly out of line. So he does very well there. Let's see if he can challenge the 2 guys at the top. He just has to make up now 0.5 of a second. Let's see as he goes round the final corner. Has he done it? It's a 1:24.3. He does make time up, but not quite enough to get past Andres. Let's have a go down towards so Andres has now gone into the pits. Let's see, his Joel, he seems to be going slower as well. Raggy is going 0.4 faster according to my timing screen, so let's see if he manages to improve. If he gets 0.4 up, even if he gets 0.5 up, he could be going into 3rd position. That would be a really good starting point for Raggy in the Alfa Romeo. So as he goes round the final corner now, he's got a nice, very straight line through. It's a 24.3. It is into third position, just as we thought. Let's go down to Optics now, who goes through Chapel into the second sector. Let's see what he's done. He's done 0.3 higher, so that's currently going to take him up at least one position. Maybe if he can keep making time up, it can be 2, but he'd have to make up almost a second to get into 4th position. Let's hope for 5th for Optics. So, as he goes round these final penultimate corners, he loses his back end a little bit there. That maybe is set up, but he may have just tried to accelerate it too much. It is a 1:25 dead. That's a very good time for him. He's now going to try and make up that 6/10 to see if he can get even further. But for now, a 1:25 dead is a very good position for him to be in. So, let's go down to Joshy Boy, who's now going through the final sector as well. Let's see if there's anyone in front of him. I think that is Jake Lee in the Valiant Racing. He's actually, yeah, so he's at the back straight now. Jake Lee's obviously driving currently in the with the Valiant Racing name. He's gone very, yes, and he's lost his car. Has he completely lost it? He's luckily managed to save it, I think. That's going to completely ruin, obviously, his lap, but luckily for him, he's managed to save the car. Let's see, I think that is a Ferrari right behind him, but it is just right trying to stay out the way. Let's see who else is on a fast lap. Diamond Tucker's currently going on his out lap, as we see Callum Tyler's now gone his in lap. Smithy's on his in lap as well. Charlie, who's in the Mercedes, he's set a very slow time of a 1:44. Let's see what he can do as he's going through the first sector now. This is going to be about 5 seconds up, it is. So I expect him very much to be back into the mix now. As we wait to see what people may be saying on the Discord, because I think that'll probably be a comment from Jake Lee there. He very much almost binned his car completely there going through this corner. As we see, Charlie's now invalidated his lap. That's another example of it. So not only will corner cutting catch you out, let's see who that was in front of him. I think it was Ecos, but he's in the pits. Maybe it was. I'm unsure who that was. Yeah, so with track limits, it's one of those things that you can not only break your track limits by cutting corners, but also if you're doing, say here, you're going for a very fast right-hander, you do not want to be overextending. If you push too hard just to try and get as much as possible from the car, just like we saw Lewis Hamilton do in Bahrain, you just end up breaking track limits on the outside of a corner, and it can really be quite frustrating because you can think you've gone through the corner and you're saying, I've just had an amazing run, this is brilliant, and then broken track limits, you've invalidated your lap. And a lot of people, especially in league racing, when they're trying to get the best out of the cars as they possibly can, they can break track limits on their flying lap, on their final flying lap. So I've just seen, we have had a comment on the YouTube, so I'm just going to quickly click on the YouTube link because I actually know I'm going to open myself and see what that is. So, oh no, right, that's why Bama ended up getting disqualified then. So he's commented, just in case you haven't seen it, and his wheel actually unplugged. It's sort of like desynced itself, which meant that his car just completely stopped on track, and that's why he got disqualified. So that is not good for him, because I think he was one of those guys who was really running in the top lot. So let's see what Taylor can do here. He's going through the middle sector now. He's going back towards Maggots and Beckett's. Let's see, he keeps a nice line on the inside of all these corners. You do want to be touching the curb on all of them. Let off the speed a little bit. You don't want to be braking too much because you'll end up losing a lot of speed, but he's gained 5/10 here, so that will at least take him up to at least 10th, maybe even 9th. Let's see if he can keep pushing. As we see, Extremis has gone up to 8th, so maybe he can challenge Extremis in 8th position now. We're going to stay on board with Taylor as we're waiting to see. I think we'll go up to Andreas next. He's started his fastest lap with only 3 minutes to go, so the chances are he's not going to be setting a fast lap. That is a brilliant lap, the final sector from Taylor, putting him up to 6th position. So let's see. Andreas, I think, has backed off in this lap. He's going to probably be pitting now. I don't know whether he's going to get out in time, so we're going to stick on to someone else. Let's see. So as we see, I think the Ferraris of Ben. So the other Ferrari's not gone out, but I think Ben's gone out now. Yeah, he's on his fastest lap now. So we're going to stay on board with Profidest. So he was one of the medium compound runners, and that's what that 1:25.3 was set with. So let's see now with this soft compound tyre, exactly how much he can improve on his time. So he goes through the final set of corners now, and let's see where he ends up. He's looking, I reckon, for about a 1:24.4, and it's a 1:24.8 in the end. It's a 5th place at the moment, and it's a very good lap. We're going to go down to his Haas teammate, who's now starting his fastest lap because he actually invalidated his last lap, which is going to really hamper his time, I think, because you do get the best of those tyres out when you do your first lap. And there we see Jake Lee in the Valiant racing car. He's also done a very similar thing to what he did in the first lap. So we're now going to go on board, I think, with someone who's about to start their flying lap. I think, I'm just trying to see who's in front of him. So you have a Mercedes, I think that is probably Charlie, who is about to start his flying lap. We might go on board with him in a little bit just to see how he's doing, but for now we'll stay on board with Ben and we'll just quickly talk about what he was doing there. So one of the things that I think a lot of people underestimate in these on these cars is that you really need to be working on your tyre temperatures. It's one of those things that I think we all see in actual F1, but not that we actually see. Like, we don't appreciate it in the game. It is still vitally important. So we're going to go on board Charlie there. You want to start your race on very hot tyres. That way, when you go, well, not very hot tyres, but on good hot tyres, because that way when you go through the lap, you're not out-braking yourself. As you see, he's gone 5 seconds faster. So we see Jake Lee, I think, has sort of said, no, that's enough from me. Which, yeah, I'm not surprised. It's a bit frustrating, I think, for him, as we see Charlie almost cutting that. I'm surprised he didn't get a track limits breach there, but we're going to stay on board with him and see where he can come out. I think he's the biggest unknown in this, because I don't actually know exactly how fast Charlie is, but he is looking quite good at the moment. He has said he was 5 seconds faster in the first sector. Let's see as he goes through the second sector now exactly how he does. He does have to ease off a little bit too much and a bit more than he probably would have wanted, as he's 18 seconds faster. I mean, he's got to make 20 to be able to get up to the likes of Andreas and Ben, who I think will go to next. But Charlie, let's see where he can get himself. It's a very nice and tidy lap. Obviously, the issues through Maggotts and Beckett aside, I think up until that point he's been doing really well. It's a nice wide line going through into the final sector. It's a 1:24.6, so we're going to go on board with Ben now. He's currently a 10th up. He needs to try and gain 2, but he's actually broken track limits. We're going to go actually down to Raggy, I think, next, who's going through the first sector as we now finish with the first qualifying session. So it's important to now to recognise that, remember that Stinson obviously is donating down to how many people he's going to overtake in this sort of in this championship, as well as obviously VRL matching it and also doing their own little thing. We've also got the fact that if you win this championship, you do win the chance to, well, you do win the 2021 F1 game once it comes out, and that'll be provided by the Valiant Racing League as well. So let's stay on board with Raggy now. Let's see if he's improving his time. He's right behind Ben, so any time he gains, he's only 200ths off of Ben, so anytime he's gaining, he's looking at getting in front. All he has to do now is keep it clean and keep it consistent going through this final sector. Let's see as he goes through the last corner. All he needs now is a lock-up or a slight bit of a wiggle, as we see Joel going up to second position. That's a great lap from Joel. So can Raggy get himself back into second? He can. That is a brilliant lap from Raggy. We're going to go on board now with Charlie, who's actually backed off. Let's see, is anyone else going on their fastest lap? I don't think they are, so that's Callum Tyler, who's also backed out. I think JRN's currently going for a faster, but he's only just off. He is. So that is the official leaderboard for the first races qualifying, and it's going to be an interesting one. We've got Andreas up front, Raggy in second, Joel in third, we've got Ben in fourth, Charlie in fifth. Optics has managed to get across the line into sixth position. I missed that he was on the fastest lap, so that's a brilliant result for him, getting into sixth. Muzzer in seventh, then Wright in eighth, Profiters in 9th, Taylor in 10th, Joshy Boy in 11th, Extremist in 12th with Pure Blades in 13th, Diamond Tucker in 14th, Callum Tyler and Valiant Racing in 15th and 16th, then VRL Smithy, JRN in 17th and 18th, then Stinson obviously starting in the back of the grid alongside Bama, who also got disqualified. Let's see what they can do. Hopefully they'll keep it clean going through the first corner, because that's where it can get really tricky. But thank you very much for joining for that first qualifying session. I'm going to see if we can get some of the interviews in from some of the guys in who have been in the race. So I'm just having a look and seeing what we're seeing. So obviously we're going to have a dry race in front of us, so it'll be a one-stop race. Everyone's starting, I believe, on softs. It'll be interesting to see if anyone starts on the mediums, because obviously with it only being a 25% race, the chances are that even if you're starting at the back, you're going to be wanting just to keep up pace to begin with. And I think now we have Jake Lee, so Valiant Racing, who's actually joined us in the party. Difficult qualifying that session was, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, so track... Yeah, I was going to say, so track limits has been a bit of an issue. I think we were following a couple of drivers who had a very similar sort of session, I'd say. And I think obviously your speed is higher than the 16th, really. But what do you reckon you can do from there in the race? Yeah. And are you going to try and hold off Stinson as much as possible to try and save some money for VRL? Oh, good. Well, well, I hope the race ends up going well. So it's going to be a dry one, is it? Yes. So you're going to start on... I was going to say you're starting your softs, I'm guessing? And the hope is that you'll be able to get onto your softs before any safety cars come in. That'd be very good. Well, best of luck. I think I'll leave you to it. Thank you for dropping by and commenting. Cheers, man. So that was Valiant Racing. Obviously, that was Jake Lee, who's one of the owners of the league. I do obviously have to thank them again for sponsoring us for this. It's been an incredible opportunity, and honestly, I don't think I've met such a great bunch of lads. If any of you are new to Valiant Racing, or if any of you want to join up, please do leave a message. We're always looking for new drivers. We've got a race on every single a day apart from a Sunday. It starts at 8 PM for every race, so it's nice and consistent. There's a league each day, and usually we've got some really nice competitions going along, such as whoever scores the most points in the next, I think, couple of weeks. They'll also be winning the getting the F1 2021 game. So we're now back on board with some of these guys. So it's important to kind of note, as we've said before, exactly what they're doing here. So this is formation lap. So anyone who's new to F1, maybe you are, formation laps are where you're really wanting to warm up your tyres. Now, the benefits of doing that is when you're starting your race, what you're wanting to do really is get off the line as fast as possible. I know that sounds obvious, but with a warmer tyre, it means you've got more surface area. Basically, the thing you've got to think about is these tyres, they're made of rubber. The warmer they are, the more compacted they get, the less rigid they are. So obviously, if they're nice and warm when you're starting a race, they can sit there on the track and you can gain as much friction as possible to get you off the line. Of course, if you're putting too much power into them, you can get your RPM too high, you'll end up wheel spinning and it won't do you any good. But the other thing it can do as well is it means that you've got more grip on your tyres to be able to turn. So that means that first corner, the chances are you can take more speed into it. And whilst this is something I think most people go, oh yeah, that makes sense, it's obviously not something we talk about quite a lot with the game. And it's actually, I think, one thing that Codemasters do very well is to make sure that the physics of this F1 game works really well. Obviously you've got damage and stuff. But let's have a talk about the tyre strategies indeed. We just spoke there with Jake Lee. He's going to be starting on medium tyres. Let's get that up so we can see exactly what people are on and stuff. So yes, he's starting on the medium tyres. Oh no, he's not. He's starting his softs. Changed his mind in the end. We've got some people starting on medium tyres though. The idea there is that as much as you're going to be losing the time to begin with, you'll catch up by the middle of the race when the crossover happens, and then when you're on the softest compounder tyre, the fastest tyre, it means that at the end of the race you're going to be much faster than those on older medium tyres. So let's hope it all goes well. As Jake Lee there said, it can go a bit difficult. I'm just having a look at my audio. It can get a bit difficult going into the first corner. Oh, didn't want to do that. Let's have a look at my audio while we watch. We'll wait till the start of the race. So we're now getting started. And we're waiting for 5 lights. We're going to ignore the timing screen. We know it always goes wrong. We're waiting for 5 lights. Are we going to get going? I think it's just catching up. Right, we're going to go by what they're saying. Right, so Andreas goes first. We've got Raggy, who's got an amazing start next to him. He's going to go into this first corner first. He's got the inside line. That's an amazing start from Raggy. So he's going up first. And let's see as he goes around the corner. Charlie's gotten into third. We've got then Andreas has managed to get the race lead back. As we see, someone is off in the background. That is F7R Taylor. That is already a shame. But it is important to notice that Stinson is already up into 14th position. That is some amazing, as everything seems to be falling around me. That is some amazing positions gained. We have got all 20 runners still. So Raggy is now back in the lead of the race with Andreas right behind him. We're going to go on board with Andreas, who seems to be taking a bit of a look. We're going to then go back towards Charlie, and we've got then Ben, who's fallen down to 4th position, right in 5th. That's an amazing start for the Ferrari drivers, really. Optics still in 6th. When you got Profidez and Muzzer then in 7th and 8th. Diamond Tucker up to 9th. Joshy Boy and Pure Blades, who both on the mediums. We see Pure Blades completely lose it, as we see Charlie's also lost his car as well, I think in exactly the same position. He's got a virtual safety car now, so all the drivers have to go to a certain delta around the track. Now, you can still make up a little bit of time here if you're a bit cheeky, but it's important to sort of stay, because otherwise you end up with a 5-second time penalty. As we see Muzzer, I think that is, go into the pits. It is indeed. So we're off to a bit of a shaky start. So Extremist is now, I believe, up to 11th position. So Muzzer's gone into the pits. Charlie and Pure Blaze have both crashed out. We saw Pure Blaze, we were on board with him as he got onto the grass on the left hand side, just lose it going around the corner, as we see some of the I think soft runners also pit of Stinson as well. So he's obviously thinking, right, if I go in now I can come out on soft compound tyres till the end of the race. He's also broke his front wing, so that's not good for Stinson really. So let's hope he can start catching up with some of the guys, as we see Joshy Boy's right on the tail of Diamond Tucker here. He's waiting, he's got the green light, so can he get anywhere near him? I think he looks on the inside. Diamond Tucker obviously goes wide, but that is a big dive there from the Extremist. I think it's Bammer actually. So Bammer, who started last, is now up to 8th position. Right, so Andreas is still a 10th behind Raggy. Raggy's done very well to get into the lead of the race. We then have Ben, who's up to 3rd position due to what was happening there. Let's see here. Diamond Tucker has lost it. He's got a 3-second time penalty. That was going through the very fast right-hander of Cops. So I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but he seems to have lost a fair few positions. He's still ahead of the guys who pitted, but I hope he's not got any damage. We're going to ignore the timing screen there, because I think Bammer is saying he's a lap basically behind Joshy Boy. He almost went off there, but I think that was actually the as we see, there's a big fight here for the podium positions. Oh no, it's not, it's just for 4th, as we see Ah, that was might have been a bit of damage for Joshy Boy there, going into the back of Profidez. Let's see if he can actually capitalise on this move here. He's looking to the inside, he's looking to the outside. I don't think he can quite make the move, but Profidez is getting stuck behind the Ferrari of Wright. Let's see, can he make it? He's got the inside line to this corner. I think Profidez is going to have to back out a little bit, as we see Joshy Boy has to back out. And that means he's also lost the place to Bama. So Bama's even gotten further forward. Maybe we're sponsoring the wrong person here, VRL. The wrong back marker, the wrong person who started last. Because Bama has made an incredible start to this race. We're going to go up towards Ben and Andreas as they're charging towards the front of the pack. They're charging towards first position. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 2. That seems to be the McLaren of VRL Smithy, who seems to have had an issue. We'll go back to that in a second as we're going through the tight corners, the fast corners here. Andreas is going to be really struggling, as we see in here. Ben is really struggling with the dirty air here of the two cars in front, but he's going to be now trying to get the most of this huge, I reckon, slipstream, as we see Andreas diving up the inside of Raggy. He has got the corner, but this is one of those tracks, just like we're going to see in Italy, where really you want to be waiting and waiting and waiting until finally making the pounce. We see there's some 3-second time penalties, which I assumed would be coming at some point, as now Wright comes into the pits. So that's why the Ferrari was keeping them up. But we've still got a race for the lead here. Let's go down to Profidez, who seems to be 9/10 now behind Optics. He's lost a fair bit of time. Bama is still chasing this front pack. He's done incredible to get up there. Extremist is now up to 7th. That's a brilliant start for him. Then you've got Joshy Boy right behind him. We're going to stay on board with these two as they're about to go through a DRS zone. So, can Joshy Boy overtake Extremist? Will Extremist have DRS here? He's outside of a second. He is inside, I think, when it came to the DRS marking zone. So, Joshy Boy here is now, he's just too far away, I think. He's just finding real struggle with the dirty air, and he's just dropping back a bit. I think this is where the softs versus the mediums will be really making an impact. So Stinson's still in 12th position. He's overtaken some more people due to pit stops. We're keeping an eye on him, but he's actually still 17 seconds behind the front runners, but they haven't made a stop yet, so we'll have to wait and see exactly where he comes out. So Joshy Boy's still 6/10 behind. We've got VRR Smithy, who's now 3 seconds behind, and there seems to be a bit of a gap here, but we're going to go on board with Profidez, who's now got a DRS on Optics. He's caught up to him quite quickly here. So Optics has either got a bit of damage, or he's just really trying to maybe save his tyres a little bit, or maybe he's just not got the pace compared to Profidez. But they're now into DRS zone, so this is going to be really important, as we now see. I think it is the racing point of Joel, who's now retired from the race. We have a 5-second penalty for Jake Lee for speeding in the pit lane. That is a big hit. So we've got another virtual safety car, and I think at this point it's important to kind of talk about the penalties. Obviously, we saw a lot of people breaking track limits in the qualifying session. We kind of assumed that might be the case. What's going to happen, obviously, is every time you break the track limits, you get a warning, and after 3 warnings, you get a 3-second time penalty, which is why we're seeing so many people get time penalties, because, of course, it adds up. If you're breaking track limits every lap, you're going to end up getting a lot of penalties. And it's also important to notice, as we see here, Profit is really profiting from that was a nudge, wink wink, nudge nudge. I'm here all night. Anyway, Profit is profiting from the way that the virtual safety car ended. He managed to get acceleration up compared to Optics. He's had a very bad run through those corners there, as we see Extremist get a 3-second time penalty. So Optics had a bad run. He's not going to have DRS on anyone, so Profit is now going to have DRS slipstream. He's not using his overtake, so we're going to go on board with Optics and see if he can get anywhere close to them. I don't think he can. And it's also important to notice that we've actually missed a swap for the... No, we haven't. Raggy got overtaken a while ago. I thought we'd missed a slot for the race, but we got Ben, who's right behind Raggy here as well. There's no DRS zones, but I tell you what, there's now a queue forming behind Profidez and Optics, so he's now... we've almost got Bama. So Bama, who started last, is almost... Well, he's within 2 seconds of 4th position. If he can get within DRS of Optics here, and Optics stays within DRS of Profidez, we could have a really nice fight here between 5 cars with Joshy Boy right behind him, all for the 4th position, and then right behind them, obviously other than Smithy, is Stinson. Stinson is still gaining on this pack. He's still getting there. He's now into 10th position. He's now into the points. Let's see what he can do. Obviously, for the Blue Cross, we want to be raising as much money as possible. And that's why I'm really wanting Stinson to do as well as possible. It's not about taking money from everyone. We understand, I do want to put it out there, that we understand that this is not the easiest time for a lot of people. COVID has hit a lot of people very difficultly. So if you can't give, please don't. Enjoy the racing, enjoy what we're doing here, and just be happy, because that's all I ever really want. So don't feel pressured into doing anything that you can't afford or anything like that. Please just be a part of it, and that's all I can ever ask of you. So we're going to go up to the front runners now as they're about to go on to lap 7. Andreas is right at the front. We've got a 5-second time penalty for Profitez. That could be very monumental for the fight for 4th place. So Bama is now up to 4th position. Can't believe I'm saying that, but he's still yet to pit. So we're now seeing the pit window start to open for these soft compound runners. The person maybe in the best position is Joshy Boy, because once everyone else pits, because so many people have pitted beforehand, they're going to be pitting now into traffic. They could end up losing time, as we see Raggy is really trying to get the lead of this race now, going through these DRS zones. But we're going to go down, I think, to Valiant Racing, to Jake Lee himself, as he's about to start lap 7 himself. It just shows exactly how far behind some of these guys are. So Valiant Racing, Jake Lee is only 5/10 behind Taylor in 12th position. We know that Jake is trying to really hope for points here, and let's hope that he can get near. He's only in 13th place, and obviously you've got a lot of people ahead of him who are still yet to pit. So maybe he will be able to get that far on these, on the medium tyres. He's only just pitted onto them, so he's not going to get him, I don't think, in this DRS zone, which means we're now going to go up to Raggy, who seems to be really mounting a chance here. That was through a DRS zone. They're wheel to wheel going through this corner. As you see, Raggy is now pitted, so Raggy took the opportunity. He was like, alright, I may be able to overtake you, but I don't want to lose too much time here. Raggy and Ben have both pitted onto, well, they're pitting now, as well as Bama, as well as Extremist. Joshy Boy follows them in. I think VRL Smithy, that could be a bad decision. His teammate is also pitted, so he may be waiting a while in there. So that means if Stinson can get round fast enough, he may be going into 2nd place, and I don't think he's going to have to make a 2nd pit stop. That could be incredible if he's managed that, because we see Profitez and Optics have both come out behind them, so he's probably going to be going in low. We're going to see now, so the two Ferraris well, no, the Alfa Romeo and the Ferrari are coming out of the pits now, so he's not coming out into 2nd place, but he's very close to the podium runners here of Ben and Raggy. This could be a monumental fight here. So Stinson only 4/10, even less now, as he's about to go through a DRS zone. I think Ben is going to have DRS on Raggy in front. He is, so it's now a DRS train should say, between 2nd, 3rd and 4th, and of course Andreas is yet to pit. I'm still believing he probably will come into the pits in the next lap, but we'll have to wait and see. So can things stop falling around, please? I'm obviously moving around this this living room too much. So we see Optics is right behind Profitez here. He's 5/10 behind him, with Bama only 9/10 behind him. So we've got a little DRS train which resumes this battle, which was of course for 4th position, but with Stinson now coming into the mix, it's now for 5th. Still some amazing points, and it's important to recognise that although you may be finishing 5th or 6th or 7th in this race, if you have a good race next time round, there's only 2 races, that's a lot of points to be picking up. You just want to make sure you're picking up probably within the 5-10 points ranges at least, to be still in with a chance to win at the end of the championship. So Raggy here is being challenged quite a lot by Ben. Raggy's now struggling, I think, to keep ahead of Ben because he's not got the DRS on Andreas that he had before. So Andreas is now on his way out of the pit. So let's see exactly where Raggy and Ben filter out. They're right behind them. So this battle for 1st position is restarting once again. Now it's important to notice that Andreas is going to have much colder medium compound tyres. This is the opportunity I think Raggy needs going through this middle sector. He's going to have DRS now. He's only within 4/10, so this is not what Ben really wants to see, but Stinson is really pushing it here. He's going to go up the inside, so now got Alfa Romeo 2 and 3. That's an amazing result really for Stinson, and I think the two people who have started at the back of the grid are the two people I'd really be saying have been having some of the best drives. So Stinson is now up into 3rd position at the most. Ben down to 4th. Raggy is still fighting, trying to get back that lead of the race that he so brilliantly won in the first couple of corners. So as we now go through Maggots and Beckett and into Chapel, we're going to hopefully see, as we see Andreas have a very decent run, and sadly Raggy have a bit of a mess going through there, but he has got DRS. He's saving up his ERS. That's the important thing. I think he knows exactly as well as I do, right, as what I said right at the start. This is the kind of race where you want to be waiting till last minute, because you can end up swapping and changing positions a lot in those DRS zones, especially that last one going into the 3rd sector. So Stinson's had a much better run here, but I think he's also letting Raggy just eke out a little bit more time, staying within this DRS chain. Obviously, it's important to notice that none of the top 3 have... Oh, that's a big lock-up from Andreas. It's going to run him quite wide, but sadly, I don't think Raggy's going to be able to capitalise. But he might do now, going in towards this DRS zone. He is gaining a little bit. I don't think he's going to be anywhere near enough. He's going to use his overtake a little bit, but I don't think he's going to use anywhere near the right amount, really, for overtaking. I think he wants to stay behind. I think he knows with this second DRS zone, it's so powerful that really he wants to be overtaking there, going in towards Stowe. So as we see now going down the hanger straight, this battle up top is getting feisty, but let's go down to Extremist, who's right behind Muzzer. Really, the top 10 is only really separated by a smaller margin of time, and really it's the battles that we want to see throughout the entire grid that we really are concentrating on. Of course, those soft tyres of Stinson are really going to be struggling, I think, when it gets to the end of the race. So he wants to be making the overtakes now, as we see Extremist run really wide there. That's not going to do him any good to try and chase down Mazza. So we've still got this giant fight. They're almost line and stern, right one on top of the other, into each other's diffusers. If we watch from Ben at the back, he's obviously got a time penalty, so he's not going to be, I don't think, fighting for the podiums, but he's still going to be in a decent position as long as he's not too far. Optics is chasing down Profidez, as well as the fact that you've got Extremist 3/10 behind Muzzer. He's going to be wanting to try and make up some places to try and get back some decent points compared to the leaders. But we're going to take a slight break, a slight breather, and we're going to probably go down to 13th position, who Jake Lee's being challenged by right here. We've only had 3 DNFs in this, and 2 of them came in the first lap. Jake Lee takes a very wide line there, but of course that does benefit him when it comes down to this DRS zone. But as Wright uses his overtake button, he just flies past Jake Lee really on the mediums. That just shows the power of these DRS zones, and maybe actually illustrates exactly why Raggy and Andreas are kind of holding back that little bit, knowing that it's going to get very close. So Extremist now, he's going to be a lot closer now, hopefully running into this DRS zone to Muzzer. He's using his overtake. He's not got any left. Let's see if Muzzer's using his. He's not, but let's have a look. Can he make this stick? He tries to look down the inside, but he knows that he's not going to be able to get any room there. He knows it's Muzzer's corners. You see Muzzer now get a 3-second time penalty as well. Joshy Boy dives up the inside of Extremist, giving him basically no room. These two are fighting wheel to wheel as Joshy Boy goes off the circuit. He takes a very inside line there, Extremist, and luckily I think Joshy Boy backs out, but that means now Muzzer has been allowed to get away. We're going to go should say, up to the top runners as they're about to go through this next DRS zone. I think this is where it becomes very difficult, because if you don't take your opportunities when you get faced with them, you can be left in last couple of laps with a monumental job to do, and no guarantee that you're going to be able to do it, especially with older tyres, as we see Stinson here on 9-lap-old soft tyres. He has got a much better run on Raggy here. Is he seriously going to try it through this very fast right-hander? This is how accidents happen. Luckily he backs out. I think he thinks better of it, knowing he's just going to break his front wing if he does that, and he is still within a chance of winning this championship if he finishes in 3rd position. That does not mean that all of a sudden these two out front are going to lose, are going to win the championship just because they're finishing the top 2. 3rd position is still a very good position to be in. So this top 4 battle still continues, as we're going to go down now to Joshy Boy, who's right behind Extremist once more. Extremist is not going to have DRS on Muzzer this time round. I think he's looking to break the toe. He knows that he's going to be able to, I think, give the place up in the end. He takes the inside line, knowing that he's going to probably have a bit more acceleration on Joshy Boy going into this final couple of corners. He's probably going to look down the inside. He doesn't try and dive bomb, which is a very smart move, I think, from Extremist. He's still in the points. He's still able to get something from this. We're going to go down to Wright, who's fighting Taylor into 11th. Wright has managed to get past him, I think, go on the inside. Taylor gives him a nice bit of room. That's good battling from these two there, and there's some nice moves happening throughout the field. We're going to go on board now with Stinson, who's got DRS on Raggy, who's still got DRS on Andreas, but he is almost outside of that second window. This could be monumental as we are on the last lap for Raggy's points. His points haul going into the next race. Stinson is going to want to maximise this. He's going to want to make sure he gets 2nd position. He's now got the best opportunity. He's only 2 tenths behind. He's going to be struggling for downforce though here. He's going to really struggle going through Maggots and Beckett's here on his downforce in that dirty air of Raggy, but he's going to try and pass his supposed teammate in this next DRS zone. He's got DRS, he's not got much overtake left, but Raggy's not got any either. He spent it all trying to catch back up to Andreas. I don't think this is going to be enough for Stinson to really capitalise on. It's not. So this may be the way it ends up. So we've got Andreas, who's coming home in 1st position. We're going to stay on board with him as he goes across the line. So Andreas comes home in 1st position. That's a great first win for him. We've got Raggy coming 2nd, Stinson very, very closely behind in 3rd. You then have Ben in 4th, Profiters in 5th, Optics comes home. Actually, he takes 5th because of the penalties, and actually Bammer from last position up to 5th position. He's done brilliantly. I think he's going to have my driver of the day for this race. That was an incredible position. You then have Profiters and Muzzer coming in 7th and 8th, and then 9th for Joshy Boy, 10th for Extremist, Wright in 11th, Taylor in 12th, 13th for Smithy, 14th for Valiant Racing, Jake Lee, and I think it's going to be 15th once he ends up coming home for Diamond Tucker in the Williams, Callum Tyler in 16th, and then JRN in 17th in the Racing Point. And of course the 3 people who didn't quite do well because they crashed out is Joel, Charlie and Pure Blade. But a very, very well done to all of our racers. They've done some incredible battling for 13 laps, and it'll be very interesting to see as we go into I was going to say Imola. That's Imola actually in F1 next weekend. As we go into Italy to see exactly where these guys end up. An incredible bit of racing from everyone involved. We're going to go on board with our... I was going to say we're going to go on board with our race winner, but I couldn't get there in time. So well done to everyone. And we're just going to have a look at what people are saying in the Discord. You have Stinson complaining, almost almost Lewis Hamilton-like, complaining about his tyres. And that's not at all surprising. Those soft tyres... 10 lap old, no, 12 lap old would have been felt absolutely horrible. Well done though to Andreas, who came home in 1st position. That's a great haul of points, and let's see if he can carry it over into Italy, which I believe would be his home race. And it's important to talk about that because a home race in Italy, not many people have won it. The only, and it would be, if he was to win in Italy, the important thing to recognise, he would be only the 2nd person to win the F1 Championship, as much as this isn't the F1 World Championship, the F1 World Championship in his home country. The only other person to win on home soil for the F1 World Championship was actually the first person to win the F1 World Championship. It was... Farina. He did an incredible chance because, of course, at that point, the Italian Grand Prix was at the end of the year. It wasn't at the start like we see it. Well, it wasn't in the middle as we see it now. It certainly wasn't at the start as we currently have it. But we're going to wait and see if we're going to have some people come in and talk to us about that race. Of course, Extremist finished down in 10th. It was a very good position, seeming to the fact he managed to get some points back. And we'll talk to him, and especially we'll talk to him about not only that race, but about the race that's coming up. But yes, the Italian Grand Prix, of course, when we had it in 2020, it was the big shock of the season. Just like we had it in 2008, the Toro Rosso, or the AlphaTauri as they are now, winning in Italy, and of course it was Pierre Gasly. It was his one podium of the season, and we now have Extremists who finished in 10th position in that race join us here on chat. How did that race feel for you?
It was strange. It was very interesting to fight for a position like P9 amongst two different drivers. Joshua Boy, who I've consistently been battling, but Cosmoza was nearly impossible to get past. He gave me all the respect that he could for me, and there was an incident at the start. I don't know if you caught it. A Williams came across me, which led to me having to slam on, and unfortunately that led to Stinson rear-ending me, which kind of
right. I was wondering why Stinson had to end up replacing his front wing. Callum
also picked up damage at that point as well, so it was kind of a case of it ruined their races. It didn't ruin mine. Luckily, I didn't get any damage, but still, it was just unfortunate. There was a lot of battling going on the first lap, which is something that was insane to see. I imagine you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. I mean, we were on board with the front runners to start with, because of course Raggy took the lead in the first couple of corners, and then there was a bit of a tussle there. We did go on board, I believe it was with who spun out in the Renault. It was Pure Blade, so I think he was right behind you actually.
I didn't see that.
We were on board with him, so we saw you run over. It was through Maggots and Beckett's. You ran over the grass a little bit. He almost followed your line, and then caught obviously a bit too much of the grass and just completely spun off, the same way as Charlie did in the Mercedes. So it was quite funny actually seeing both go off in the same place. But what are your hopes for Italy? Are you hoping for a bit better than P10?
A lot better qualifying, because I feel like I ended up trying. I wanted to, because I finished outside the top 10. I wanted to do mediums, but I forgot to confirm my strategy. So I started on fresh softs. So it could have been worse, but I don't know. It kind of made it that it was kind of hard to fight Josh in the last few laps.
Well, I think we both saw Stinson saying at the end of that race that he had like 12 lap old soft tyres on by the end of the race. Yeah. It's crazy. But I'll let you go. Best of luck in qualifying. I do hope it goes quite well for you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good luck, and try not to lose your voice in the meantime.
It keeps breaking. I think that's my issue.
Well, when it starts to sound more and more breaking, that's usually the sign that it's going. So good luck to you, mate, because you've still got one 25%er, one qualifying session, and a qualifying session, then Brazil. Wait, are you
Brazil.
Are you streaming Brazil?
I believe I am. I'm waiting to talk to Jake to get the. I don't know if I'm going to be on VRL or on my own. Waiting to find out.
Either way. Well, we'll sort that out anyway. And hopefully Monza's better for me, and I will go now. Enjoy. Yeah,
thanks, man. Best of luck. So that was Extremist there, who's obviously in the Mercedes alongside his teammate Charlie, as we saw in the last race who spun off. Currently no one is out. I'm just having a look at the comments, and obviously I think that's Bama, who had an incredible race last race. Well done to you. Who said he might start from the back once more. As we see some drivers go out, they are on soft tyres. I'm waiting to hear. It does look fairly murky out there. Waiting to hear if it's a dry race, and it's going to be rain after 20 minutes in the race. That could be big. So, as we see Diamond go completely offline there, rain after 20 minutes is certainly going to be an interesting one, because I don't know exactly what their strategy will be. I don't know whether it's going to be wet actually at the end of the race, because 20 minutes is I think usually these 25% races are about half an hour, so 20 minutes in is pushing the border, as everyone is currently telling me about rain. Thank you very much to everyone. So I don't know what people's plans are, but we're in Italy, we're in Monza, and I'd say probably the fastest ever F1 track. And we're yet to see in Jeddah. They're saying that could be faster, but nothing can beat Monza. It's one of those races that if you get in the slipstream, if you get the DRS on someone, oh boy, is that going to be some feisty battling. We saw Extremist there talking about the fact that he was battling quite a lot with Joshy, and of course Muzza gave him a lot of space, and that was a really good battle. It's great to see in these races that these guys are really giving each other the respect that they deserve each. I think JRN is currently the one out first at the moment. It's not. It's his teammate of Joel, who obviously disconnected. Actually, no, I didn't disconnect from that last race. Can't get my words out. As Extremist says, I need to watch my voice. Joel crashed out of that race, so we know he's going to probably be struggling a little bit. He's not going to have as much fresh racing experience as everyone else, but these guys have probably been racing for a lot longer than just one race. So as we see Joel, we haven't actually got, as I think that was him pretty much ruining his lap, we haven't actually got any of this connected or anything. So now we're able to see what the telemetry is telling us. Let's see as he goes through into the end of this middle sector now. There's a lot of people very close behind him, who I think they'll be backing each other off. Of course, this is the race where we saw... This is where we saw the massive traffic jam. This is where we saw a lot of the drivers get reprimanded for playing silly buggers, as I think as the FIA called it. But it is, you know, it's one of those laps that you should be doing around a 1 minute, I'd say 1 minute 19 at most, as we see literally 1 minute 19 from Joel there as the first time start coming in. We're going to see exactly how competitive that is with the Diamond Tucker coming in at 120.6. So really, you can give the time, you can sort of back off a little bit, because you know you're going to have the time to get in, get out, you know, change your tyres again, and you'll be fine. So really you don't want to be running too close to each other. As you see, Optics is going very slowly there. I think he's actually just come out of a corner actually, so I still think he's still on his fastest lap. We're on board with Bama, who's might be started from the back of the grid. So let's wait and see exactly how well he does. He cuts the parabolic of the beautiful last corner quite thinly as he gets a 119.5. That time from Joel for a 119.0 has been bested by Raggy with a 118.5, so that's probably the time to be aiming for. Let's see what Stinson does. I know Stinson will be probably saying, no, that's enough from me. It's a 118.9, so it's not quite as fast as his teammate Raggy, but he's going to be parking up and disqualifying himself, I think, very soon. We're on board with Optics and see how he's doing. He's very out of sorts. There goes broken track limits there. Extremist now, who we were just speaking to, he's going through the second sector now. So he's gone 53.3. That's a decent middle sector time. So let's see, as he goes through the final sector now, we're going to run on board with him a little bit and let's just show you the beauty that is the final corner here in Monza. This amazing corner, the Parabolica, one that you can break track limits at quite quickly. As you see a 5-place grid penalty happen there for Diamond Tucker. I'm unsure exactly what happened there, but he's collided apparently with Optics, but Optics is in the pit. I think actually that is a bit of a glitch maybe, because I think Optics went into the pits and maybe Diamond Tucker went into him into the pits. Anyway, let's stay on board with Andreas. So we saw Extremist there go 8th, as we see a yellow flag in sector 3, so I think someone's backing off to start the... No, I think that's actually Stinson, who's just probably parked it up. So Andreas, as he's going through the middle sector now, so it was a 53.3 for Extremist, so that gives you an exact replication as we see there. Breaking track limits. Monza, just like Britain, just like Silverstone should say, is one of those tracks that it's very easy. I think it's actually known as the corner cutting dream, because the very little corners that we have in this race are very easy to corner cut. As we see, Ben's also broken track limits. We're going to probably stay on board. I think with Jake Lee. He's going to be hoping for a much better qualifying performance than he had last time round. As we see, he almost loses it there, very similarly to how he almost lost it in at Silverstone. As you see, I think that's Charlie who's probably just ahead of him. It's not. He's trying to get past a Williams who I think is just trundling along. So we're going to go on board with Valiant here, with Jake Lee. It's Extremist who's getting in the way. Good friends of each other. Obviously, both of them are owners of this league. So trying not to collide there, lads. So Jake Lee, as he's going on to his flying lap. This is a very difficult braking zone. You don't want to get too hard on each corner. He's gone very wide through that corner. He's lost about 4/10 going there. Of course, that now impacts you going all the way through this very long and fast right-hander. The right-hander where Alonso did an incredible overtake back, I think it was in 2010. As we see, Pure Blaze has now left the session. I think he's sort of said, no, I don't think I can do any better. I'll come back in about 10 minutes. So I'm going to stay on board with Jake Lee. He's going through the middle sector now. He had to go very late on the power there, and then he's done a very nice, I'd say, second right-hander there, so he's done quite well. Really, let's see if he's anywhere near the time, I think, of Extremist is what he's going to be aiming for. He's not. He's just about a second slower than Extremist, so this isn't exactly an incredibly competitive lap from Jake Lee himself. But he's going to hope to really get some slipstream here from his teammate. He might be doing quite well here, as Optics is about to go on his fastest lap. So I think he's done quite well to get a bit of speed off his teammate there, but he's kind of ruined it then for his run through the Parabolica. So as he comes across the line with a 1:21.8, we're going to go on board with Optics, who's now starting his fastest lap. And let's see how he does going through his first corner. Doesn't lock up his tyre. Let's see if he runs as wide. He doesn't. Takes a lot slower run through there as he almost loses the back end. That was extremely close to losing the back end. Now that's very unlucky for him. So we'll wait and find out. As I think we've actually got rain up here in York at the moment. As it's rain expected. It almost mimics reality. So Optics completely breaks track limits there. He spins completely and luckily goes to make sure he's out of the way of his teammate. And so he hasn't broken his rear wing there, because that could have really affected him, as we know. That does carry over on here. So we're going on board with JRN now as he's going round into the two right-handers. And let's see how he does. It's important to note that actually with these cars, Lewis Hamilton did the fastest ever lap in a Formula 1 car, and I'm just trying to find the exact speed. Here we go. So yeah, his pole lap, he actually got the fastest ever recorded time in an F1 car with an average speed of 264 kilometers an hour. That's incredible, and they're saying that Jeddah may be sort of like challenging that, and I think really if they manage that, it will certainly be one hell of a race. As we see JRN go across the line now with a 1:27, that is a decent time. Of course, we know as Valiant Racing has gone a little bit faster that these guys at the back are really going to be wanting to improve their time a little bit more as we go into the last 7 minutes. So who else is out on a faster set of tyre? We've got Profitez, who we know is more in line with Wright and Bammer in 7th and 8th. He's going on his fastest lap, I believe, at the moment. We're going to see what he does going through the first sector and how much further up he is. As Raggy and there we go. So Stinson, I know Andreas has gone into second position, so he's actually gone fast. I was wondering what changed on the leaderboard there. So Profitez, let's see what he's going to do through the second sector. See if he's going to be up on his time. He needs to make up probably around a second, really, to be in the place where he kind of, I'd say, is naturally. And of course these two tracks are very similar. They're very high. See, Bammer's disqualified himself. He's obviously decided that was better for him. He is basically making up a second here, so let's see, as long as he doesn't break track limits here, as Bammer's been disqualified, so he's now finishing at the back, which elevates everyone else. So Italy, so Monza and Silverstone are both very similar tracks. They're both, as we see Ben go fastest with a 1:18.4. That's an incredible lap from him. It's not, I would say, the pole lap. I think everyone's probably going to improve by the end of this, but Profitez does then go up to 6th position as expected, so he's right next to his teammate. They're very, very well matched with each other, which is good to see. as we see some people now on their outlaps as well. We're going to go on board with, I think, let's see, is Andreas going to improve his time? He's going to hope that he can get higher than Ben in first position. He's going very... Yeah, he's not. He's going into his pits. Obviously, Ben has done his fastest lap and then going back into the pits as well. He's also broken track limits. Stinson stopped on tracks here. He is trying to disqualify himself. There we go. That's been successful. So, let's have a look. Is anyone going any faster? We know Prophetess is on his way in. We know Wright's going to be on his way in. Josh is going to be on his way in. So's Extremist. Diamond Tucker's on his fastest lap. So let's see, as we go on board with some of the back markers, I say back markers, none of these guys are slow of course, but we'll see where they end up. So Diamond Tucker, let's see if he can improve on his previous time. He's currently 5/10 off of the person in front of him, which is Charlie in the Mercedes. So he needs to be making up a fair bit of time, and he's not at the moment. He's done a fairly similar time to his last one in his first sector, but let's see as he goes through the middle sector exactly how he can improve. He almost lost it a little bit there on that right hander as he goes now towards the DRS zone leading up to the start of the third sector. Let's see if he's improved on his time at all, and we'll see if he's going to be coming in. He's 3/10 up, but he needs to make 6/10 to be able to get a position higher, maybe even into the top 10. But that is a very good indication that obviously Diamond is improving his time. Let's see as he goes through the Parabolica now. Let's see exactly how he does. He doesn't keep it too tight. He does run wide a little bit, but that is okay because you want to maximise the speed. So you don't want to put too much steering in at the same time. It's a 120 dead, so he does improve his time. He does get 5/10 that he needs to. As we see Charlie, I think he's backing out. He's obviously... ghosted there to allow Callum Tyler through. Let's go on board with Callum Tyler, who's still yet to set an exact time, so I think he's struggling a bit with the track limits just like Optics is. So we're going to go on board with Callum Tyler as he goes through this middle sector. He doesn't break track limits there, and he stays sort of on a good line. We know that a 153 is where Extremists lay out, as he does run a little bit wide into the first right hander. Let's see if he can manage his exit speed here. He does. So again, he's managing his exits quite well. He's getting on the power quite early, but he is very much throwing his car around with a 153.0 going through the middle sector. So that should put him up into 10th, but that is breaking track limits. How did he not get a breaking track limits thing there? I mean, I know he backed off a lot, but that is pushing his luck quite a lot. Let's see what lap he ends up doing as he goes around the Parabolica now. Much tighter line than we saw Diamond Tucker obviously have. So let's see. As he's cutting it close almost on the esports line there. It's a 120 dead, almost pretty much the same as Diamond Tucker did in the end. So they're obviously going to be fighting with Extremist, who's only less than a 10th in front of them. So let's go to Muzza should say, who's on his fastest lap at the moment. No, he's not. He's about to go on to his fastest lap, because I think that was a much slower lap. So I think he's just taking 2 laps to kind of warm up his tyres and then going from there. So watch out for any comments or anything like that as you go through this first corner here. He does get very deep into that first part of the chicane, which can very much compromises your run through the rest of it. Let's see, Andreas heads out. We've now got 2.5 minutes left. The guys at the front really want to be heading out now to be able to get a much better lap in. So we're going to watch out for those front runners as we see Muzza now completely abandon his lap, as we see Andreas do exactly the same. It's becoming difficult. That chicane in going into the second sector is proving very difficult for a lot of drivers. We're going to go down to Optics. He seems to have navigated it quite well. He's going to go around this right-hander now, pulling in close, trying not to get too much on the brakes, because that's where you can take a lot of speed into it. Whereas this one, you need to brake a lot heavier, try not to run wide. He does quite well there. He's onto his DRS. He's going down into the second sector now. He's going to go through this... I don't know what to call them. I call them bendy straights, because you're practically straight lining it the entire time, but taking as much speed as possible, touching each and every curb, trying not to do what he does there and lose his rear end, but he doesn't lose too much time. We're now going to watch Optics as he's about to set his first fastest lap, as everyone else now seems to be going out on their flyers. We're going to go up to, I think, probably Charlie next, but we're going to see how Optics does on his first flyer. He's got a 1:19.3. That gets him straight into 8th position. That's a good first lap. I don't know if he's going to go again. He's not activated his DRS, so I think that's him finished for that. So let's see, as Andreas retires, going, no, I can't improve. Let's see if Profitez can. He's currently in 5th position. These COS drivers are doing very well indeed, but let's see if any of them can top their teammates of Andreas, or maybe even Raggy, and get into the top lot. Let's see, so 1:18.8 is not enough for him to get into the podium places at the moment, but it is a very good position for now. In 4th place, it gives him a lot of chances in the race, as we see Joshy Boy finish his first flying lap. Right, we're going to go on board with the current pole sitter of Ben, as he's about to set his flying lap. Let's see, is he going any faster through the first sector? He's not. He's 2/10 down. That is not good news for his battle. Let's see if Raggy, he's about to start his flying lap. He's going to hope that he can get around this Parabolica and start his flying lap, and hope that the people in front of him who are doing the same aren't going to get in the way. As we see the racing point start, he's got 19 seconds left. He will get across the line. So we're going to go back up to Ben. He's about to finish the second sector. Let's see if he's made up any time now going through this second sector. He hasn't still. He's still 2/10 slower. Right, this is the best chance Raggy is going to get. As we see now, we're going to wait until Ben comes across the line, I think, just to see if he can get any closer. Well, obviously, we've got Joel behind them, who I think is in front of Raggy. He is. So, Ben now coming around the Parabolica. I don't think he's going to improve on his pole lap currently, but that does give Raggy a chance. He's only going to make up a 10th to get pole. So, he does get faster in the end. He makes up 2.5 tenths, really, on that last lap. Section, so he's now going to make 2/10. Raggy has got a fair bit to do. Let's see as he goes around this final corner of the second sector. We're going to see as he goes down the DRS straight. He activates it, probably not as early as he wants to, but we're going to see. We know right in front of them we've got Joel, so we probably will go to him next, because Raggy is down a little bit, but we saw Ben do exactly the same going through that middle sector, so maybe in that final sector he can make up the time. We're going to go on board with Joel first though, as I think he's probably the outside chance to be able to get pole position at this moment in time. So Joel going across the line now. Let's see what he can do. It's a 1:18.4. It's a second place at the moment. Can Raggy get his second place back? Can he get first? Let's wait and see. It's a 1:14.4. He's only he's 400ths up, but it's not good enough for pole, but it's good enough to get his P2 back. And I think that's currently the best runners out there. Yes, because 10th position is the best that he can do. Let's see if Callum Tyler's going to improve. He's going through the second sector now. I think he's a little bit further up. He's a 10th currently further up. That might be enough to get him ahead of Extremist, who hopes to qualify better. It's a bit of a shame, but I think some of these guys are extremely fast. There's obviously, we see there's a second in it between 1st and 8th. No, 9th. 10th, really. Yeah, 10th. So 8th, from 1st all the way to 10th, is a 1 second gap. And then behind that, you've got a 5/10th gap between Diamond Tucker and Taylor. So Callum Tyler can't improve his... Well, it does improve his time, but not enough to get any positions higher. It's very close, though, to Extremist. So the current rundown for the final bit of qualifying is Ben in 1st, with Raggy in 2nd, Joel in 3rd, Andreas in 4th, Profitez in 5th, Muzzer in 6th, Joshy Boy in 7th, Wright in 8th, Optics in 9th, Taylor in 10th, Diamond Tucker in 11th, Charlie in 12th, Extremist in 13th, Callum Tyler in 14th, Valiant Racing, which is Jake Lee, in 15th, JRN in 16th, Smithy in 17th, Pure Blade starting at the back of the grid. Honestly, overtaking is almost easy. DRS, you've got ERS. All three can be used pretty much. There's someone 6/10 ahead of us. They've not got DRS. We can overtake them. It's that easy. It's that, as long as you get the great run that you need to through the last corner before whatever straight, probably the Parabolica really, as long as you get the run you need through there, you'll be storming down that pit straight. But of course, that also means you've got people right behind you. As we see there, we've got 5 place grid penalties for Optics and Diamond Tucker. That is a big shame for both of them. Obviously, I think they collided on the way into the pits. We'll wait and see if anything is being said in the pit stops, as I think they're just talking about the wet weather. It's very British of all of us. We're in Italy, guys. You're not supposed to be talking about the wet weather. But it's going to be impacting the race. I think we will probably see a lot of these back runners who are past the 11th position, because of course top 10 can't change the tyres. The ones in below 11th and below, maybe starting on the mediums, could that get to them to the rain, and can they capitalise on only having to make one stop? We'll wait and see. That's if this rain comes. The one thing that this F1 2020 game gets wrong all the time is exactly the timing of the rain, and it becomes very difficult if you're if you're waiting and you're going, I'm going to stretch these tyres out. I think I do it all the time in Belgium. Belgium's one of the ones they always get wrong for me. It says, yes, rain's going to be at the end of the race, and then you sat there waiting on your soft tyres going, no, I can pit, no, I can pit, no, I can pit. You're seeing everyone around you pit and gaining time on you, and then all of a sudden you go, rain's not going to come. Well, the rain's here, but it's not going to be wet enough. And I think that's maybe where these guys might fall down, is if the rain comes, is it going to be heavy enough to be able to actually change onto intermediate tyres? But we'll wait and see. We're about to get started. As again, we'll go on to the formation lap, and then we'll get started in the race. So, of course, it's important to realise that, of course, the ones we want to watch, as we've seen there, the lap 7 pit stop is kind of where you want to be is where you're looking at with softs. Obviously, you're going to hope to either eke that out with just making sure you're soft tyres last long enough, or you're wanting to make sure that the rain comes early enough. So the medium starters are obviously Extremist, Callum Tyler, Valiant, so that's Jake Lee, VRL Smithy, Stinson and Bammer. So the two starting at the back, as we see Diamond Tucker get disqualified, the two starting at the back are the ones to watch as always. But here we go. This is one of those races, as we see, people's does change just down to whether or not they have used up much of their tyres. The ones to watch are obviously currently Ben, Raggy, Andreas and Stinson, who's obviously starting at the back, because they are the ones who are really in a shot, especially with where they're starting, of winning this championship. So I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. I'm really looking forward to it. It looks beautiful out there. Beautiful Italian sunshine. How can we see rain? Trust me, it changes very quickly on this game, especially with only 13 laps. It's bad news, though, I'd say, for Diamond Tucker and VRL Smithy, because if you don't have the time to warm up your tyres, as we see Joshy Boy and Wright also have an issue, if you don't have time to warm up your tyres, you're going to be starting on cold tyres, and that is going to really get to you when everyone else is starting on the perfect temperature. I'm just going to move my stuff down so I can see the corner numbers. There we go. I don't know what's going to happen. I think, honestly, Stinson's always a good bet. See, Optics has also been disqualified from the session just for that, as well as Extremists. So something obviously has gone up. I think they've had to be backed off and end up... because you get disqualified if you just run into someone, if you overtake people. I think Ben starting on first, he had some electric pace there, so did Raggy and so did Joel, so maybe there's going to be an incredible fight for first. We're going to have to watch this first corner like a hawk, because this is where things can be won or lost. If you get damage into that first corner, you are really going to struggle, I think, around here to get that time back with rain coming. So we're going to go wait now as we see they've got 4 or 5 lights. I don't think they've actually got 5 lights because these guys aren't revving up. There we go. We haven't. Let's wait and see. As we see, Blades has completely just gone for it. Has he just broke? I'm unsure what's happened there. I'm really unsure what's happened there. Right, we've got to run into the first corner. Ben has had an absolutely atrocious start. So that is a terrible start from Ben, as Raggy, Andreas and Charlie and Muzzer have all gotten past him. Raggy is technically in first position at the moment, as we see Diamond Trucker get a 5-second time penalty. Nothing has happened with Blades, though. Oh, there we go. So there's a 5-second time penalty for Smithy, as for Optics as well, as he's collided with someone. We have an offed car in the background there. We're going to go down, I think, to have a look, as we see these guys are all fighting still for the lead. I don't know exactly what's happened. Stinson's up to 14th at the moment. This is a monumental battle between Optics, Stinson and Taylor. Let's go on board with them and see from Optics' point of view what's happening here with Stinson and Taylor. I think both of them have gotten past him. They have. They've just got the run on him there. That's an incredible start, though, from Stinson. As we see, Callum Tyler's probably had the best start on medium compound tyres. He's up to 8th already. Extremist, as we see, there's a massive spin there. I'm unsure who that was for. It was for Joel, who had an incredible start as well. So, currently we've got Raggy out in first place. I honestly don't know what's currently happening with Pure Blades. I wish someone was able to tell me, because he's not even got a penalty. I don't know. Oh, he's gone off. So he's... Oh, right, okay. So that means everyone's going to overtake him anyway. It doesn't matter. So, currently in the lead of this race is Andreas. Andreas has gotten past Raggy. Right, we're going to concentrate now because that has really thrown us off. So, we have Wright, who's in 8th position, with Callum Tyler now right behind him in 9th. They've overtaken each other. We've got Extremist, who's right behind JRN here. Of course, we've not got any DRS at the moment. But what we do have is Pure Blades falling back now. So, okay, so the drama at the start is completely gone. But hey... What's life without drama? Is Stinson's really battling here with Extremist. They're really trying to fight a way past each other. I think Extremist is almost getting a bit frustrated here behind Extremist. He knows he's faster. He knows he can get back up. He knows to be able to get this with Andreas now currently in first position and Raggy in second and Ben in third. We have the usual suspects all in the top runs of this race. Really, we need Stinson needs to be getting further ahead in order to be able to win this race. As we see now a safety car as Optics is now retired from the session. So Optics has spun going obviously into that corner. He's just broken his front wing going into the third sector. There's now a full course safety car. So who's going to pit? Who's going to wait? And who's going to think, oh, well, if there's rain coming, this is certainly going to impact the rain coming because it's going to mean that all of our laps from now on are going to be a lot slower. And it's going to level the playing field a little bit as we see Blades, I think. Again, he's just got... Yeah, he's going to be frustrating Callum Tyler, I think, here, but luckily there's going to be a safety car anyway. So, as Joel's also DNF'd there in the pit lane, I think. So, current standings after that absolutely bonkers start, Dizzy Rascal is going to need to really soundtrack this race because that was a crazy start. So Andreas is now in first position. You got Raggy in second, Ben in third. So the top three are the top three that we had in the last race, bar Stinson. Then you have Muzzer in fourth, Pure Blades, who's currently DNF'd anyway, so he'll be coming down the grid. You have Callum Tyler in fifth. There you go, he's overtaken, but he's going to have to get the place back. So Bama then in 7th, technically. Charlie in 8th. JRN in 9th. They're now trying to catch up to the back of that queue. Wright in 10th. This is brilliant news, really, for Stinson, because it means he's not going to have to make up any time. He's just going to have to make up positions, really, to be able to catch the guys at the front. So he's now back out onto soft tyres. So he just thinks, you know what, if I get the most out of these soft tyres, it means that I can basically catch the guys at the front, and I'm also on fresher soft tyres for when the rain comes. I can then switch at that point. So Extremist then in 12th, Taylor in 13th, Joshy Boy in 14th, Profiters in 15th, Valiant Racing, which is Jake Lee, in 16th, Diamond Truckers in 17th, Smithy in 18th. I'm going to have a break. As Extremist said, before we do this, obviously this is being done for a great cause, and we hope that you're able to, as we see Muzzer... I don't know if he's overtaken everyone. He's going into the pits, that's why. Oh, and he's been disqualified for ignoring yellow flags. That's a shame. I think he hoped to get into the pits before that happened. Yes, we're doing this for a great cause, and I do thank everyone again for taking part and also for watching. It means an awful lot that you're all here. Because obviously the Blue Cross do some amazing work to help. Just in case you don't know, they do some amazing work to help some very poor animals that are either ill or left alone. A lot of them have been abandoned and left in shelters, and what the Blue Cross do is they go and they look after these people. They fund the shelters that look after them and stuff, and of course they bring them back to families that do care for them, which is amazing work. And as I said, these poor little guys, a lot of them times they can't defend themselves, they can't look after themselves, and they need us to do that for them. And who can say no to a beautiful puppy just looking up at you with sad eyes? I don't have any pets myself, but I grew up with them, so they mean a lot to me. It's why I'm doing this. I know that a lot of other people in this league, and who we see Raggy almost I thought he was going to do a George Russell and then completely sidewall it. The Blue Cross means a lot to them as well. So if you want to donate to that, go into the link below. If you want to learn more about Blue Cross, just look them up, Blue Cross UK. But also after this As I said, this championship's going to be won. We've also got a Saturday Night League over on the Valiant Racing channel. If you want to find them, you can actually go to the link below, and if you look at my journey and stuff like that, I've got a link to the Valiant Racing channel on that page. So you can go to them and you can follow the races below. A lot of these races are going to be in that, obviously, is why they're doing it. So yes, so as we see, the safety car is in this lap. Andreas is really pushing these guys back. We're going to go back to the racing now. But thank you very much. Make sure you subscribe. All the usual. Let's get back to racing. So, and really backing up this pack. They're weaving all over the side. They've got to make sure not to run into each other. Raggy is really... Oh, why are we on board with Pure Blaze? He's going to fall back. Raggy's getting very close there to the back of Andreas. I'm wondering when he's going to bolt it. This is always the question. As we see, I think Andreas... Oh, has he gone now? He's not... He's speeding up, he's gone. Right, Andreas has gone. That means that Ben is right behind. Callum Tyler is right behind him. He's managed to completely be overtaken by Bama. That is an incredible bit of work there from Bama and Charlie. They've just managed to get any ahead. But let's have a look as we see Raggy get out of sorts there. He's gone very deep into that corner. Raggy's going to be overtaken. Andreas got overtaken by both of them going into that first corner. But because of the line that he took through there, he's just managed to get them straight back. As we see Raggy is under all sorts of pressure from Ben in the car behind. We see Stinson's now to 6th position. That's a great start from him as well. So he's managed to get up from 10th all the way up to 6th. Extremist now gets back into the points as we see Tyler and him fighting quite a lot. But now we've got Wright and JRN. Let's have a look down below if we've got any more fights. We've got Joshy Boy and Extremist right next to together. Once more, they might be fighting a bit more throughout this race. We see Ben has now retired. He's lost it into that corner. That must have been a very big crash. As we see Stinson's now up onto the podium. This is where it all begins. Can he get past these two in the first couple of positions? He needs to try and get points back as we now have another safety car. Whew. That was a incredible first lap out of the safety car, but now we've got another safety car back. Well done to the guys who had an amazing start. Now you've got to do all over again. I'm not sure what happened to Ben. That was a big crash. It looked like he either lost it on the outside there going through the second sector, or he maybe even collided with Raggy, who was obviously very close behind, and that was a DRS zone, but it's also a straight where you can get a lot of slipstream. So maybe he got a better run through there and it just kind of crashed him out. It's a big shame for Ben because I think he would have really hoped for a chance. But we now have the race neutralised once more. But this time round we have Stinson, who's on much younger soft compound tyres than the two ahead. And look at that sky. Here in the UK we call that sky murky. And that sky means one more thing. Rain. Ah, that's what happened. So people have got a penalty like Bama and Callum Tyler because of the fact that they had to pass Blades because he was an AI in that last safety car restart. So of course they passed him because he was just going to go slowly up until the line. So that's a 5-second penalty for them, I believe it is. Let's have a look at the penalties. It is 5-second penalties for them. They'll serve it on the next pit stop, which isn't too bad, but it is probably a lot of time to be making up when you've got the pack so close together this late in the race. Which is a shame. I do apologise, Bama, because you've done very well once more to get up to the back of this pack. Let's have a think about the battles that might be happening down below. We've got Extremist now into 10th position. He's on soft compound tyres compared to the mediums ahead of him. He should be able to make up a few places off the start. He's going to have a much higher traction than everyone else, but these guys in front are not easy to overtake, so maybe they won't. Callum Tyler's still on the same. He's one of the only people to have not pitted so far. So you have Callum Tyler, Bama, and Raggy and Andreas who are still on the tyres they started the race on. Andreas has done so well to maintain the lead on every occasion, but I think really with Stinson and Raggy right behind them, these two Alfa Romeos are going to be really hot on his heels, and they're going to be on older soft compound tyres. Yeah, as we see now, the pit window is open for the guys out on front. They're going to hope that they can take these soft tyres to the end until maybe rain hits. If they do that, that's a great thing. Obviously, I don't know. I think Stinson started on mediums, didn't he? So he's gone on to softs, which is fine because that means that he's gonna be able to go to the end of the race if rain doesn't hit. But these two out front, they're probably going to try and as we see, Extremist has got a 5-second penalty for colliding with Taylor. That must have just been happening when they're... I'm unsure exactly what's happening here because Extremist has backed off quite a fair bit. But this is the issue when you have safety cars. If they're weaving like that, it's not like in F1 where you're able to kind of judge where your front of your car is. A lot of time on this, you can just sort of misjudge it a little bit, and you're weaving and you're going, oh, I don't know exactly how fast I am, and just end up breaking off a bit of your front wing going in through one of the corners. But we're getting on board with the front runners again. I'm unsure when the safety car is coming in. Of course, the virtual car of Ben has been... as we see him getting very close to Raggy there. The virtual car of Ben's been taken out, so maybe it'll be the end of this lap, in which case that'll be good for Raggy, really, because he wants to be maximising his lead as much as possible. But, as we say, this is their pit stop. Their tyres are going to be feeling very bad. They're hopefully going to be waiting for... Does he see Callum Tyler, I think, overtook Charlie? And now Charlie's coming back. I'm unsure exactly what's happened there. Right, so safety cars in this lap. So Andreas is going to be backing these guys off once more as we see Charlie and Callum Tyler have severe collision. Right. Yeah, these tyres, I don't know whether they're going to be at the point of wanting to pit, because of course they've had two safety cars, so maybe they won't, as well as a virtual safety car, I think, as well. So maybe they won't want to pit. But they want to wait into the rain. But of course, if the rain doesn't come by, say, lap 10, really these guys are going to want to pit anyway, because otherwise their tyres are just going to lose them so much time, which is going to give Stinson really the chance here. He's going to... so Angelos is now bolted. He's going to have the chance here to overtake his teammate of Raggy. I don't think Raggy can do much going into this first corner, because apart from breaking toe, it's just going to become difficult as Bammer's now gone up the inside of Stinson. Stinson's gone around the outside of Raggy. That is the first bout of rain we've seen. As we see now, Callum Tyler has now overtaken Bammer as well. So we've now had our first bits of rain. This could be just what Andreas needs, as Stinson's now up into second position. But they're all going to be pitting soon. Andreas really, he's got to be hoping, right, it's got to become intermediate weather quickly. That way Stinson can't benefit from having much fresher tyres. But we'll wait and see. We'll stay on board with these two now as we're going into the middle, the end of the middle sector. Andreas had a bad run there. This could be it for Stinson for the lead of the race. We'll have to wait and see. There are only 600ths, 400ths, 500ths of a second between them. Who's going to outbrake each other? Is the Renault going to do well? He does, and blocks off Stinson's attack, but Stinson might have a much better run out here. And of course we've got the long straight going into the first corner still to do, as we see Charlie's door has gone down. Extremist is now retired. Is that going to be another safety car? That's where we've had one previously with Optics. That's really bad news from Extremist. I do feel sorry for him because he's done so well up until this point, but Stinson is right on the heels of Andreas. This is going to be a monumental battle for first. Let's see, can he get ahead of him? Whoever has the high ground at this point really does have the opportunity, as we see Stinson does get ahead. Who really has the opportunity when it comes to pitting for intermediate tyres? And of course, Stinson being ahead is not good for Raggy. If Stinson just decides to pit for intermediate tyres because it just gets too wet, Raggy's either going to have to take the pain of being second car, and of course they can't double stack like they do in the actual F1 here. And we're going to go down to the likes of Taylor, and that's a big crash. And see Taylor now retire from the session. He's gone straight into that wall in the middle, in the first sector. I'm surprised that's not a safety car at this moment in time, but for now everything seems to be sorted. Let's have a look as Joshy Boy is challenging JRN for 7th place. Let's see, he gets a much better run, as much as both of them get really out of sorts through there. JRN does not have as good a run as Joshy Boy does, so that gives the position there to Joshy Boy. Callum Tyler's now challenging right as well. It's now getting very wet out there. I wonder if they're going to pit on this lap. We're going to go on board with the race leaders at the moment. No, we're not going to go back down to JRN and Profiters. Can't speak. Right, we're going to wait and see if anyone is coming into the pits. It does not look like it at this moment in time. Stinson sets the fastest lap of the race of a 1:21.8. I'm unsure how long we're going to be waiting. Raggy and Stinson, Raggy and Andreas' soft compound tyres are really going to be struggling now, and I think that might be what we're seeing really with Raggy here. Him being on 9-lap-old soft compound tyres, they are going to be really blistered. They're going to be really shaky, and when wet weather comes into it as well, you're just not going to be happy. He's now lost 2 seconds on the leaders. So he's even in. Actually, he's 2 seconds behind him. I thought they were 2 seconds behind each other. Then as we see Bama get another 3-second time penalty. At the moment, Raggy's still safe for getting the 3rd position. I think really Stinson needs Angelos to have a bad pit stop and maybe fall back a couple of positions in order to maybe win the overall competition. But now we currently have, as we see, a yellow flag in sector 3. I think that's JRN who has gotten past him, but we've got a big battle here for 6th position as Prophetess goes around the outside. Can Callum Tyler also join him? He can't. That is a brilliant overtaking opportunity there from Prophetess, who's had DRS. As we see, I think these drivers are now really struggling with this rain. Are we going to see them pitting in? They're just coming around the Parabolica now, the 2 leaders are. We're going to go up on board with Bama, who's right behind Wright, who's overtaken him. Let's see, that neither of them are pitting yet, nor I don't think is anyone else. No, they're not. But currently, we've not also got any overtaking happening either. As VRL Smithy, we see Callum Tyler coming into the pits. I think he's just decided it's just too much, as he's coming against Valiant Racing. That's Jake Lee. They're getting very close to each other. Let's see, running through the first corner, if they've outbroken each other. That is a very, very wide line from Valiant Racing. He's almost cut off Smithy there. That was unlucky. He's outbraked himself really going into that corner. Gives the position obviously to Smithy, and that then also invites Diamond Tuckers in the Williams to the party, and that might be extremely difficult, as we see 2 people, Callum Tyler and JRN, have both gone on to the intermediate tyres now. That's another mistake there from Jake Lee in the Valiant Racing car. He's now going to be I think he's going to be thinking maybe it's time for intermediate tyres just like the rest of them. Maybe it's just time to have a look at how Callum Tyler's doing in this. No, we're going to go up to Joshy Boy and Bama. They've now overtaken each other in the DRS zone. Bama's really struggling here. It's interesting, it's the medium tyres more than the soft that are struggling really, as we see Prophetess now right on the rear wing of Wright. Let's see, can he overtake him? We've seen that Bama has fallen all the way down now. Valiant Racing's now retired. Jake Lee has now retired from the race. That is a big shame. I don't know if that's going to be a safety car. It's in the middle of a straight, but there's quite a lot of runoff area there. We'll wait and see. It's a 5-second time penalty for Bama. He's now going on to intermediate tyres as well. We're going to see as Prophetess comes up the inside of Wright. I think he's going to get the position. They're really battling with each other here. Really wheel to wheel, almost, as we see them. Wright just got the really bad wheel spin, which meant that he ended up losing even more positions to Joshy Boy. So Joshy Boy's now into 5th. He's looking on the inside of Prophetess, but thinks better of it. Andreas has now fallen a second and a half behind Stinson. So Stinson is out on clear track. That's a big spin from Joshy Boy. These drivers now seem to be really struggling with this wet track. I do wonder who's going to be in the pits first. So as we see Smithy, his teammate, go past Joshy Boy. It's traction. I think that's when you always notice it first. It's always in the traction zones when you're trying to put the power down that you notice, oh my gosh, I've got no grip. When your tyres are hot, when you're going quite quickly, you're kind of gliding over the surface anyway. It's then under braking and then trying to get traction. That's when you're struggling. And of course, this is where we see Bama. He's now onto the intermediate tyres. I keep knocking things over and it's always the same thing. It's always my phone. So he's on the intermediate tyres. He's obviously overtaking Pure Blades. Pure Blades has not pitted yet. He's pitted onto the mediums. So the first of the front runners of both Andreas and Raggy come into the pits. So Raggy's done quite well there coming into the pits, not on the same lap as his teammate. He's going on to medium compound tyres. Is that a mistake, as we see Raggy doing exactly the same? This is getting... It's now the last lap of the race. That's a big issue. I don't think... So what we've seen there is the track is now wet enough for intermediate tyres. But Andreas and Raggy both had to pit onto something because it's the last lap of the race. I think they've just handed this championship to Stinson. So unless Andreas can make up 4 seconds to get to the car in front, he's going to have given the race, the championship to Stinson, and that is a big, big issue. Right, we'll stay on board with Joshy Boy, who's the next couple of cars up from Andreas, and see how well they can do. They are gaining time, but I think that's just because they're a lot faster as well. I do think this track is probably ready for intermediate tyres. I'm surprised they didn't pit onto him. Even if they had to pit onto another tyre, I think really the intermediate still should have been the choice they made. But we'll wait and see exactly how well it pays off for them. So, Stinson has won the race. Does that mean that we're going to see Stinson win the championship? We'll have to wait and see. Prophetess is going to come across next. That's a great position for him. He's come back home in P2. That's brilliant for him. Let's see. Wright comes home in 3rd position. Let's see if he gets demoted with the penalties that he's got. As you see, Smithy coming home in 4th, he's done well there. Joshy Boy overtakes him, Diamond Tucker overtakes him. Angelos comes up to 4th position. That may be enough, as we see Raggy go to 6th, completely lose it across the line. So, that demotes Smithy down to 8th. Charlie comes home in 9th. Bammer comes home in 10th. He's on intermediate tyres. It doesn't look like that was the right choice in the end, which is a big shame for him, because I think that was probably the best decision at the time. It looked like it was going to go to medium tyres. So Bammer comes home in 10th. Pure Blades, even though he was completely DNF'd, comes home in 11th outside of the points. And Callum Tyler finishes in 12th with JRN's thing. But it's all waiting now. I can't do maths that quickly in my head. So it's all waiting now to see if that was enough for Stinson to have won the championship. I think it is. I think it is by quite a fair bit. We're waiting to find out, though. I'm yet to see Callum Tyler's. Yeah, there we go. Callum Tyler's now across the race. So I don't know what this means for Andreas's championship hopes. He was doing so well, had to pit because otherwise he was going to get disqualified. Driver of the day goes to Stinson. That's fair enough. He did very well. I think mine actually probably has to go to Stinson as well. He did incredibly well at managing that. As we see, Jake Lee's now joined us. I'm waiting to see who's won the championship. I think Stinson has done enough to gain the points that he needed to overtake Angelos, with Angelos finishing in 4th. I don't know, though. Not... Yeah, it is mesmerising, really. I think this is the reason why Stinson does so well. It was, I was talking to Jonathan Cox before this, who's another one of our Academy leader drivers, if we're going to look at the standings now. He does by 3 points. Oh, I was talking to Jonathan Cox before this, and he was saying that Stinson, I think it was his bet, and he was thinking that really... these guys, when they're, the reason why they're the academy drivers, that they help other people, is because they are so quick. And it was unbelievable, really, to watch him through both races come from the back of the grid all the way up to the front. So yeah, it was... It was pretty impressive. Here he is. Well done, Stinson. That was absolutely incredible to watch you in both races come from the back.
Thank you. Well, we're fun races.
Yeah, it was brilliant. You did just enough at the end there. I think Andreas having to pit and go into to go onto a different set of tyres at the end kind of ruined his race a little bit, but you did just enough, 3 points in the end to win the championship. So you've also won the 2021 game, so well done for that.
Thanks.
Do you know how many overtakes you did?
It will be around 35, I think.
Ooh.
I couldn't because of the damage in race 1. I had to pit lap 1, so I couldn't get more overtakes.
Right. Yeah, I spoke to Extremist, and he was saying that you, I think because he had to brake for Charlie. Oh no, it was the Williams. He had to brake for the Williams, and they ended up basically brake checking you, didn't they? And taking your front wing off.
Yeah, he broke at around 80 meters, where the braking point was 50 meters. So it scared me.
No, I can imagine. What do you think of the new guys? Obviously, we've had a few new guys join us for this this race, and hopefully for more races on Valiant Racing League's channel. They're quite fast, aren't they?
Yeah, I love them. I know them all from COS.
Oh,
So
right,
I've
brilliant.
raced them before. Yeah,
Oh, right.
they're great guys.
Mm.
I'm gonna look now at my footage to give the final count.
Mm. Yeah, well, thank you from me as well. It's been amazing to see the support. Obviously, having the support of VRL has been incredible, and it just shows exactly what a great bunch of guys we all are. Here in the league, I'm not including myself. That I'm a bit of a knob, but the rest of you guys are brilliant, and it really means a lot, especially with today, with getting everyone in, and with such clean racing as well. It's been incredible to watch all throughout the field how you guys have all been doing. And I look forward. It's Brazil next, so anyone who's watching live, if you go over to Valiant Racing's channel, it'll be the Saturday Night League over in Brazil. So that's gonna be an incredible race. Brazil is always a monumental occasion, so go over there and check that out. And a lot of the guys who are driving in that in today's race will be in that as well. But yeah, thank you very much to everyone who joined. Thank you to anyone who's watching after the live stream. It does mean a lot that you guys kind of engaged in this, and let me know if you want more like this. Maybe we can do one towards the end of the month as well to make up the hours. But thank you very much, guys, to let me host this with you guys. It's been brilliant. Thank you. Right, I'm going to leave you there on this stream then, guys. As I said, pop over to Valiant Racing's League. If you need the link for it, either search on Google, search on YouTube, say, or if you click the donation link below, actually on there, you've got my little story, and you can actually find the link straight to the Valiant Racing League on there as well. So join us over on there. Thank you very much. I've been me, you've been you. Cheers, guys.